Hey there, it's GannJourneyman here. Thank you so much for taking the time to check out this video. I truly appreciate it. And what we're going to cover today is an expansion into the Gann planetary lines that on that video that I had made. So honestly, I had no idea how many people would be interested in that video. Kind of blown away by it. There were so many tweets on Twitter and DMs and interaction and participation within that community, as well as the YouTube channel. Really appreciative for everybody doing that, because it helps me to make sure that I'm explaining things clearly out of my head into yours, so that you can use this stuff on your charts, and it's not just, oh, it's another cool video. I like to see people post charts and take action. It's phenomenal. This video was spawned off on the ideas of two questions that came in the comments box on the video, and the first one was from Boniface. Hopefully I said that correctly. If not, I apologize. He had three questions. I'm going to cover number 3 today. It says, how do we convert price coordinate angles for indexes where price is above $1,000? I'm thinking from the perspective that the circle has a maximum of 360 degrees, but how will we calculate the coordinates if the price is more than the 360 price units? So that's a phenomenal question. Thank you so much for putting that in there, and we're gonna cover that today. Also, Donnie, he left a comment and said, phenomenal class. To that I say thank you, sir. He says, I'd love to see you plot at least one of the planets. So Donnie, what I'm going to do is I'm going to plot the sun today. I know that's a relatively simple planet to do, but I will actually make a video later where I go over all the planets. I'll plot them all out. A few people have asked me for it. I feel like I'd bore somebody to death doing that, but hey, if that's what you want, that's what I'll give you. So stay tuned for that coming up in the future here, the full plotting. So without further ado, let's dig into how to lay these planetary price lines when they're not near the 360 price to degree range. All right. So what we have here is RCL, World Caribbean Cruises, and looking at this chart, we got some lows here at the $10 range. We got some highs in the 135-ish range. Oh, that was $5. Wow, even further dip. Sorry, so I get pulled away sometimes. But right now our range is at about $20 up to about $50. So what are we going to use, because it's not anywhere near 360? Well, first off, I like to work off the current range that it's working at, because we're looking for the speed of the market. And if it's not really moving that fast, our planetary angles will fit better that way. But if you want to, you can still lay them from the 0 to 360. It's just the interaction with the price won't be as good, if you will. But you got to play around with that sometimes, because the sun won't work with every single asset or instrument that's out there. You're going to have to find what resonates with that instrument. So in order to accomplish this, what we need to do is look at using a 360 degree of a price ratio. So what exactly do I mean by that? So look at me getting all prepared here. Give myself a little small pat on the back. I actually made this video like probably 50 times, and all of a sudden was like, hey, I might want to include that. So the price ratio, basically, if we did 360, would be a 1-to-1, right? But if we are outside of that range, we need to do a ratio of it. So in this ratio right here, there's 10 36s to get to 360. There's 100 $3.60 to get to 360. So we would look for whatever is the closest and run with that. So for instance, in this one right here, we could run with, $36 because price is kind of ranging right there right now. So one thing that I had forgot to mention in the previous takes of this video, which I'm not going to forget because I wrote it down, is that whenever you select whatever ratio that you're using, you need to apply that to the rest of the planets. So right here, we went from 360 to 36. We basically moved the decimal over 1 to the left. So if we had, let's say Pluto at 333 degrees, well, it's going to be $33.30 because we had to move the decimal place over. I hope that makes sense. If not, let me know and I'll try to clear that up better. So what does this look like using a ratio instead of the full 360 degrees or 360 degrees to price? So what I'm going to do is lay a line down here at 0. So just kind of so we'll know where we're starting from with our cycle for the sun. And what we're going to do is get an extended line. And we'll come here to the 20th of March of this year. There it is. And we'll throw it up until next year. So if you'll notice, you have the 23rd or the 19th. So the closest to it is going to be the 19th. So we're going to lay it there. All right. That doesn't really help us much, does it? Are we on target? No, we're not. I'm getting sloppy. Don't get sloppy. Stay. There we go. 36. So we are now at $36.00, which is our 360 cycle for the sun. It's just a ratio of it. All right. Well, there's not much we can do with that. What if we go backwards with it? What do we get there? So once again, this would be a 360 point for the previous year. So we'll come and make sure that we are sitting on top of that on 320 and come down to 0. But where we go from 0, we got to go back to March of 19. Come on. So that one's missing as well. We'll go with the 19th since it's the closest. So we have our full 360 there. We need to adjust, obviously. $36, $0. And now we have parallel lines. And interestingly, prices actually being cut through the sun trend line of the movement of the sun. So then we'll lay another one. Let's just see what happens. So this is now the beginning of this one. This will be the end of the previous. So we're going to come here and drop it. And we're going to go to 2018. Find the 20th. And remember, we're going to have to sometimes discount for days because of the stock market. If you're doing stocks, because they're closed on Saturday and Sunday. Once again, interestingly, the parallel line, which is no shock because this is a 360 degree cycle. So these lines with the sun are never going to interact with each other. They're going to stay parallel to each other as far back as we go. So then let's get on the date again. Go back to 17 this time. 2017, March. Looking for the 20th. Got it. Let's go set our time. I'm sorry. Set the price. Oh my God. It's getting late here. I'm losing it. And there we go. Interesting. So the sun does seem to work well with this instrument. Now, don't be discouraged if the sun doesn't line up with whatever you've picked to chart, because the planets don't always all align with every single asset or instrument. You have to play around with the planets and find out which ones do work with them. Now, that's not to say not to plot them, because there will be other aspects with other planets that when they come into contact with the sun, that can be very beneficial to know. And anytime you get an interaction, that's a conjunct point. So I'll get more into that later on another video. But this is basically how you would lay your lines if price is not at $360. So if you're above or below, you just have to compensate with your price ratio and make sure that for all the other planets, you add on, or remove the decimal point from the price. So that's how you work with the price ratio. Okay, so lastly, let's just plot out one planet real quick. I'm not going to go through the entire process on what I do because I'll cover that in the very long video. But basically what you want to do is find an ephemeris where you have all the longitudinal points. Now, whenever we're plotting, and I'll get into this more on the long video, but we're going to use heliocentric because they're straighter lines. When you use geocentric, which means it's an Earth's view of the solar system, you have the retrogrades and other periods where the planets kind of move in a wavy motion. It's not as straight because they're going backwards in comparison. So heliocentric is used whenever we're plotting manually. Heliocentric is the view from the sun. I still include the sun because it's the most simplest solar body to plot, really, because you know exactly when it's going from 0 to 360. So for this example of a planetary plotting, I'm going to grab, let's just do Saturn. So Saturn on April 30th is going to be 296.17. So let's come here and April 30th. Okay, we have April 30th. And then if we go to the future, I'm going to pull it back up here. What date are we going to go to? Let's go to, I think we'll have like a month pulled, so let's make it really short. I'll just set it like that for now. We'll pull it up. We'll have to make sure our dates are correct as well. Okay, so our starting point, remember we use this aspect ratio, right? So we're at 36, so we got to drop the decimal by 1. So that means that Saturn's going to be at 29.62. I'm going to round it, 29.62. So 29.62. Okay. And then our second line. What date is he on? I gotta get that date right. Let's do 520. Just a random number. It doesn't really matter because we're gonna just go off of whatever's there. So 520 Saturn. We have 296.77. So we're gonna have to move that decimal again. So it'd be 29.68. So 29.68. And I always color code. Saturn is usually orange. And look at that. So whatever you use for your aspect ratio, you have to apply it across the board for all your planets as you're going through the ephemeris. Like I said, this is running off of a heliocentric. It's a straighter line because I don't believe it takes into account the retrogrades at all. Although we have 4 planets in retrograde right now, which is kind of crazy. So this is what that looks like. The little RX right there. So you got Venus, Pluto, Jupiter, and Saturn. All of the little RX are retrograde. This is the geocentric view. So anyways, that's just a little teaser for the future. But that's how you would lay a planetary line. Once again, I hope you found this to be beneficial and helpful to you. If you have any questions or comments, feel free to leave them in the comment section below. And I look forward to seeing you in the next video. GannJourneyman signing out.